everyone, welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and I finally did it. I finally beat Fire Emblem Awakening, and I don't even know where to start with this other than to say that if you have a 3DS and you do not own this game, you are missing out on probably, no doubt, this is going to be very hard pressed to be beat as my game of the year. This is just flat out astounding. Everything from the gameplay mechanics to the storyline to the presentation. It really seems like Nintendo is trying to make Fire Emblem into their next big series. And yeah, I completely put this above Ni no Kuni. And I know people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But for me, nothing compares to the thrill of victory, or just, oppositely, sitting there watching the enemies turn and just seeing them swarm on a weak unit, and like your knuckles are just white from gripping that 3DS, like, don't you do it. And then when you see them die and you're like, oh fuck, and you have to start over because units permanently die in this. So if your favorite unit gets wiped out, either you reset your save or you just skip out on that unit for the rest of the game. And you really get attached to your units. I know that, I had sort of the same basic team every time. I'd switch out some of the more ancillary characters depending on the situation. Like if there was chests, I'd bring in a thief. If there was, just for the situation's sake. But I always had that sort of core 5 people that I was really, really attached to. And I am hard pressed to think of another gaming experience where I'm just, biting my nails watching this happen. Even other strategy games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, that kind of stuff. I haven't played XCOM, so I'm pretty sure that's kind of the same way, especially if you play that really hardcore difficulty. But Nintendo gets a lot of flack for being a sort of kiddie/casual, company. And if anybody, ever says that to me, this is the game I'm going to slap them in the face with, because it does not get much more hardcore than this. Pouring over stats. Just sitting there and thinking critically about your weapon loadout. Like, do you want to carry a Volinary with you, or do you want that extra slot for a sword? On the maps, clicking on enemies and make sure that their movement spaces don't coincide with where you're placing your units, so you don't get ambushed. I mean, there's just so much that you get into with this. It's insane, this game. Wow. I don't... I mean, no game has ever made me feel the sort of highs that I've felt, and also made me as gut-wrenching pissed off as I've ever been with this game. But that's a good thing. You want games to elicit a big response out of you, because otherwise, what's the fucking point of playing them? So anyway, let's go ahead and break this down and talk about this fantastic game. The storyline, in contrast to the storyline with Path of Radiance, which I felt was a great sort of deep thought on the nature of war, Fire Emblem Awakening has sort of a much more traditional JRPG story. In that you have good, you have evil, we have to vanquish evil. I felt like Path of Radiance in some places really made you think that maybe you aren't the good guys in a few places. This one, you always know that you're on the side of right, except for sort of one little campaign, and then you realize, oh, maybe that wasn't such a great idea. But from a storyline perspective, filled to the brim with fantastic characters. Especially, my favorite character was Lucina. And in this game, which we'll talk about this when we get to the gameplay mechanics, you build your own avatar for your character. And one of the gameplay mechanics is sort of a marriage system. And I know, oh god, it sounds terrible. But I made sure that my avatar character married Lucina, because for some reason I fell in love. I always fall in love, not really fall in love, but I always really enjoy one female character out of every RPG. And for this one, like Tales of the Abyss, it was Tyr. This one it was Lucina. So, yeah. But man, just a fantastic story. Lots of twists and turns. And, I don't know what else to say without spoiling things. It really is one of the best stories you're going to play, not only on the 3DS, but just in general so far. We have other games coming out, but I'm really impressed with the story that Nintendo brought to us with this. Really, the big thing you want to talk about with Fire Emblem is the gameplay mechanics. And they really have refined Fire Emblem to the point where, for the hardcore kids that like the challenge, buddy, it's still there. But if you're, a little scared about jumping into the water with Fire Emblem, you can make it a bit easier. You can turn off the permadeath with the units, so it plays more like a Final Fantasy Tactics or a Tactics Ogre. The unit dies, big deal. You get him back at the end of the battle. So for you guys that are maybe new to Fire Emblem, it will accommodate you, okay? So don't be scared off by this game. But, it's got that traditional Fire Emblem strategy, move your units, enemies move their units, sort of chess-style gameplay. The weapons triangle is still here. But, if you've played a Fire Emblem before, you will be able to just jump right into this game. The new thing that's really been put in, the big thing, is sort of the pairing system. In that, when you have two units adjacent to each other, they will help each other out. And as units, do this more and more often, they build up an affinity to each other. Okay? So let's just take, for instance, my avatar character, which was named Dustin, of course, and Lucina. Okay? So the more and more I use them adjacently to each other, they will help out each other by either defending an enemy attack or by helping you out with an attack themselves. So, you might get your one strike in with your avatar character, and then Lucina comes in and finishes off the enemy with her strike. Really, really, really awesome, because it really makes you think more about how you want to place your units, because I can think back to Path of Radiance. It always felt like my healers were so far away from the front line. And in this game, you still have to kind of keep them back a little bit. But if you get their affinity built up really well with another unit, that other unit will just defend them to no end. So it really pays off to kind of figure out early on who you want to pair units off with each other. And it does kind of favor male and female combinations, because there are different affinity levels, like C, B, A, and then S. And only, I think this is, I remember correctly, only male and female characters can go to level S, because when you get to S, that means they marry, okay? And basically I had my avatar and Lucina at level S, and they were pretty much unstoppable. Very rarely did I have to reset because one of them died, because they would just defend each other and help each other's attacks out like non-stop. So it pays off to early on figure out what units you want to use together, and as you use them more, you'll see sort of how they combine well, and to get them built up so when you get to the end game, they're just helping each other out no problem. Because when you get to the last, 4 or 5 chapters, it's insane. So, okay, we have the marriage system, which I just kind of briefly explained. Now, when two characters marry, it opens up a sort of a bonus mission where you can go in and there'll be enemy units on one side, you on the other side, and then like somewhere in the middle there'll be what's called an ally unit, which is usually in green, and they act on their own. More often than not, these ally units are children of the two units that you've had marry. So, how do I want to word this? One thing you want to look out for is the stats, because there's probably charts online. I really didn't care that much about it. that you could like make really powerful units by marrying two units together. Like an early Paralogue episode, you get a character called Donnelly, I think it is, and he's sort of this useless villager. But I guess as you level him up, he gets really awesome, and then he'll pass that trait on to his child. So, that's something else you kind of want to look into. It depends on how hardcore you want to get with it. I really didn't pay attention to that much. The really only thing I wanted was Lucina and my avatar to get together, and I got another really powerful unit out of it. So, yeah, it pays to sort of invest the time into that and make sure two units always stay kind of close together and help each other out. But yeah, other than that, you're sitting there and you're poring over stats, poring over movements on the battlefield to make sure you don't walk yourself into a trap, because the AI in this game will kick your ass if you make a mistake, and that's no two ways about it. I moved one of my, I was paying attention to another set of units moving, and I completely forgot about the ones above me. And I moved my healer out of the way of them and moved it right into this onslaught. And like 3 units came down and just decimated that character, and I had to start over. So you want to kind of move through the maps quick because you're like, oh man, I want to finish this game. But if you move too quick, then the game is going to destroy you. Absolutely destroy you. Another thing that's kind of interesting about this game, and it's, I don't know if it was just the way I was using my characters or not, but the female characters in this game kick ass. Like, I was talking to my friends that live here around me that have this game as well, been playing it, and I was like, is it weird that it's strange that, but all of my great units, the ones that really do the damage, are all female. So ladies, if you're looking for a game that empowers women, right here you go. All the female characters in this kick ass. I was astounded. Like, my weak characters were always the men. So there you go. The presentation, the graphics. The in-game graphics when you're fighting the battles, not that impressive. When you turn the 3D on, however, this makes great use of the 3D, especially when there's like fires burning and stuff like that, and you see the smoke wafting up towards you. Really nice. The cutscenes, the sort of in-game cutscenes, are a bit weird. The character models are a bit strange. It feels like their legs are too short and their arms are too long. And I don't know where the hell their feet went. I don't know. If you've played the game, you look at their feet, they're not there. I don't know what's going on with that. But those graphics are really great as well. What really blew me away was the sort of full motion cutscenes. I mean, if we ever get a video game that looks that good in game, I think my brain's going to melt. And some of the stuff they were showing for PS4, hey, maybe. But those sort of cel-shaded, cartoony looking, not cartoony, don't think like a Japanese anime, like that kind of cartoony, but not like Bleach or like Berserk or something like that. One of the more mature ones. Not like, I don't know, Dragon Ball, for instance. But the way that those things look, I was just mesmerized by them. And then you flip on the 3D, and it's like, holy crap, this looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, I really feel like Nintendo's like trying to knock this one out of the park to get people into this. And, the fact that they brought it over here says that, they really want this to be a success. The music. For the most part, the music was very serviceable. And a lot of these games, a lot of these strategy games, the music is very serviceable. But I'm not going to be rushing out to buy the soundtrack CD. But, while you're listening to it in the game, very good music. Let me just put it that way. So, yeah, I don't know really what else to say other than this should be a no-brainer for you guys. My God. Definitely so far my game of the year. I'm getting ready to play Etrian Odyssey 4. And that is pretty... I'm actually both of these games I'm enjoying more. I have enjoyed and am enjoying more than Ni no Kuni. And Ni no Kuni was one of my really hyped releases, so I don't know if that's just me or what, because everyone else seems crazy about Ni no Kuni, but I think both of these are actually better. And man, this is the year of the 3DS. So if you do not have Fire Emblem Awakening, try to find it, because this thing's getting hard to find. And Nintendo, they might do a reprint of this, but the price is certainly not going to drop. The price is only going to go up. So if you have to get it now, even if you don't have a 3DS but you're interested in it, I suggest getting it now, because when you find this thing used, it's not going to be cheaper than it is new. So anyway, that is Fire Emblem Awakening. I don't know if this video made any sense, because I honestly just finished beating it, and like my head is still spinning from just relief because I don't have to face another board. Oh, something I should mention also. This game is huge, absolutely huge. 26 chapters to the main story, and then you get all these paralogs for getting additional units. And then there's the DLC, which I have downloaded several maps and played those. And you get to have, like, when you beat those old maps, you get to have characters like Marth and Ike and Roy join your party. And while they don't build affinity with other characters, they are pretty powerful units. And I will definitely be going back to this game, because when you get to the ending, you have to make a choice. And it really seems like there's multiple endings based on what choices you make. But I also want to go back to it and get all the DLC and get all those other characters. And because this is a game I really want to support, and I'll continue buying maps for this as long as they continue to be fun. So yeah, you really get your bang for your buck with this one. Unfortunately, the DLC, let me think. I think it's like $6 for 3 maps. So, that's up to you to make that decision whether the DLC is for you. But the game itself is just phenomenal. So, once again, Fire Emblem Awakening. Don't even think about it. Just buy it. I'm done. I gotta get away from this game for a while. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.